once again welcome back in today's episode number 13 with Ajay Kumar, which is on the item special. I would like to thanks to each one of you who is joined this session live from the different regions of the world and want to gain some knowledge from Ajay. But as per the tradition, Ajay, let's go for a 10-20 second pause. Let's pray to God. Give us the power, give us the strength, what we want to share with community. Let's go in that direction and then we'll start the session formally. Okay, Ajay, welcome back. How are you feeling today? Nervous, excited? What do you
So
think?
today I'm feeling a little bit excited because last session I attended that is the first time, but I feel much more excited today to share the knowledge. And again, thanks a lot to Atul to giving that such platform to be share my knowledge on the item side. Thanks a lot because that collaborations which we are working together that is basic going to be amazing on the different modules of the items which we are trying to share the knowledge on it. So thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Ajay. Thanks. So definitely I'll give a chance to you as well to speak a lot now. Okay. But before we go, how you feel that what make a difference in the last 1 week? Did you find that there's a actually need of the item to be established? Maybe people like you or someone else who want to become on the platform and want to share, or you think no, it's already old in the market and I'm just sharing a lot of bit and pieces on the experience.
Okay. So basically, what I feel from the last week to till now, ITOM is something not used in the market much more, and but I feel there is no much ITOM developers available in the market, right? So, if anyone knows infra, it doesn't mean he knows ITOM. He should be,
Right.
brush up their skills related to ITOM, where he can learn how the ServiceNow is helping the other IT organizations to automate their IT operations using this ITOM products, basically. But
Right.
let me give an example. Recently I'm working on one thing where I feel they have items but they don't know how to use the items using the custom tables, multiple custom tables. They are getting the data or uploading the data in Excel, but they are not using the capabilities of item or the CMDBs, where out of the box tables available, out of the box attribute available. Instead
Right.
of that, they are using the custom things. So what is happening for the customer? The data is going to be matched up. Now they are not able to correlate, or they're not able to find out the data belongs to which CI or which
Okay.
asset, basically. So that is basically challenge. So we have to be streamlined each and everything in the proper way, where the things can be go in the streamlined way.
Okay.
Otherwise, if we do something based on our understanding what we want to be do, or that is most of time happening in the organizations of different customers, it, they just putting the requirements, and the thought process, the developer or the BPC who is working on that requirements and not looking for those things which help out to use the out of the functionalities of the service now. So that is the
Right.
basic thing which I feel. So I think we should understand what is the best practices which we can develop, what
True.
the things we have to be help out, and how we can achieve the requirement doing minimal customization. As ServiceNow already said, the ServiceNow platform is low code to no code, right? So we have
Right.
to work on that side as well.
Right. Okay. Ajay, one thing which I was checking in the last week as well, in the middle of the week as well. Like, what also included in the item? So people say item means only discovery, or item has a lot of capability. So like in the ITSM, we have change, incident, problem, request, knowledge. So in item, it's only discovery, or we have any other capability or the products as well in the item.
So ITOM is vast, basically, right? So we have lots of module available in the ITOM. It
Okay.
helps. If I give an example, ITSM is service management things where we are going to be automate our service managements, right? The
True.
same way in ITOM, we are going to be automate our IT operations using discovery. Discovery is one of the part which helps
Okay.
the AI to discover your network connected devices and populate in the CM.
So what else in the item other than discovery, if I say?
Right. So what else? The next thing is service mapping, which service
Okay.
mapping gives the visibility on your applications, how your applications are connected to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Is there
Mm-hmm.
any issue running on it? Or it gives you more visibility on that side. Second thing
Okay.
is event management, where
Okay.
you find out or connect your event monitoring tools to ServiceNow to get
Mm-hmm.
more visibility on complete ecosystems of your applications, where CMDB is available from discovery,
Okay.
and service mapping giving the visibility of that architecture of your applications. The same way, event management will help you out where the issue is. What is the issue
Okay.
is? CMDB or the CI is not running due to disk space or something else. Apart from that, cloud governance is there, where we can automate the complete
Oh.
and we can use in the ITOM itself. Apart from that, orchestration is there, where some requests coming from the organizations or customers or end users, like I don't want to log in every time on my Linux box to
Right.
reset password, right? So I can automate using the orchestration functionality. We can pick that information from the CI, and we can log in directly using that workflow or the flow designer, and that password can be reset automatically. So user intervention can be removed for small things, and it can be happen for the large things as well, but
Okay.
it has to be right in long workflow basically.
So it means if I or my customer want to be implement ITOM, doesn't mean that they need to be go everything in a one go. So they can go in a phases wise. Like first they will go on the discovery, then they can pick up the service mapping, then they pick up the event management. Or it is like no discovery plus service mapping, sir, plus event management, everything need to be go in a one shot. Is it
No,
the case or no?
no, definitely not, because everything's required maturity to work on it, right?
Okay.
If your CMDB and discovery matured enough to
Hmm.
see all the data, all assets, or all the CIs in the service now, then I
Hmm.
can suggest to go for the service mapping and the event management. Service mapping,
Okay.
as I mentioned, it depends completely on discovery. If your discovery is
Yes.
not running completely or the CI is not available, you cannot do the service mapping, because again, service mapping is doing a discovery, but it's going to be down going discovery on top to down, and mostly on application part. The same
Okay.
way, event management is triggering an event to ServiceNow, or if the CI is not available in the CMDB, that how that event can be connected to an alert, and that alert can be
So
connected to.
so it means if anybody hire me as a ITOM consultant, I have to be think from or I have to be see first of all their CMDB status, that what their CMDB status at point of time. Only then I should start either the discovery or event or the service mapping, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
So
good.
let me give an example, right?
Sure.
So, when we are going for any customers, we are trying to understand if it is belongs to ITSM as well. When we are going to be any customers, we are trying to identify what is as is the situations have, how incidents is running, how change is running. We are trying to analyze those informations from the customer, right? The same way, in ITOM side, we have to be understand how the CMDB is populating now. It's managing through Excels or through some other third party sources, how the data is going to be managed, and how we can put source of truth as a service now, where all data should be available in a single instance or a single space. They can log in and they can find out all the informations, right? So that's why we need to be assess the informations of how they are managing edges informations, what is the data model they are using as of now. Apart
Mhm.
from that, how many data centers they have it, how the data
Okay.
centers are connected to each other. Apart and the must most things is how that provisioning is happening for the CMDB or the CIs. So
Okay.
to take
So
care
so
for
so when you say the provisioning is happening, what do you mean by the word provisioning here? It's like how they set up, or how they using it.
no, so provisioning means how the new CI will be inserted to ServiceNow or and in their CMDB currently, right? So how do as of now we have 1,000 servers, but
Mhm.
tomorrow when I go to the next one I find 1,002. So I don't know how the two servers are added and who added, right? So we should know that particular process, what is how the new CIs is going to be inserted, what is the process for that, how they are
Okay.
managing that informations in their organizations.
And everything we can see on the dashboard or on the console or on the workspace as well, right? That
Definitely.
from where the things are coming, who's updating, what parameters are going to update. Okay, I would definitely will go for the discussion as well with you. One more point, that do you think, or maybe or not, do you think if I give you a chance to change one thing in the item from the ServiceNow perspective, what you will change?
So that is a tricky question basically, but definitely if someone gives to me chance to be change something in the service
Only
now.
one thing, as of now, only one thing. Suppose you are
So
the ServiceNow item head, IT director head, and you want to change one thing only. What you will change?
definitely I will change the the discovery side basically, that patterns are written in very difficult ways to be get the data right. So somehow what I feel, the data can be achieved through the patterns, but we can modify the patterns based on the simple way, so we can find out, and sometimes we are not aware about what is the issue and where we need to be fixed it right.
Right.
That informations we have to be fixed. That I will
Okay.
definitely change to give the
Okay.
more visibility on that side.
Nice, nice. Maybe from the audience as well, like Shivam is there, Abira is there, Carlos is there. If you guys need to be changed one thing in service now item space, what you will change? You can put your questions in that in this part, or what I can say, on the comment, and then you can let us know your feedback on the critical part. Okay, Ajay, so over to you now. You have good 30 minutes in your bucket. Definitely, I'll pop up in between for the question and answer, and you can start your discussions now.
Sure. Thank you, Atul. So, guys, as we discussed last time, we discussed about what is ITOM, what is the ITOM model, what is how many subscriptions are available in the ITOM site, right? So we discussed about those things and how those models or the subscriptions are connected to each other, and how they are going to be, help out an organization to, automate their IT operations, right? So let me share my screen quickly. Before that, today we are going to be start with discovery basically. What is required for the discovery? How we can start the discovery? And what should we do before starting the discovery in a customer environment? So let me share my screen now.
Sure.
Let me know, guys, once you are able to see it. Yeah.
Are you able to see you only, not the screen?
Okay,
Yep. Now I'm able to see your screen as well.
sure.
You just minimize this R stream, and then you can go to your instance.
So I hope PPT is visible.
No, no, not PPT.
Okay,
Still
once
your R stream screen only. Maybe you are sharing a full screen, or you are sharing just one portion.
I'm sharing my full screen. Let me share
Maybe.
again.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. So I hope this time this will be visible.
Yes, able to see your instance now.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so guys, as we discussed last time on the discovery, right? So basically, as I mentioned, as Atul already asked, how we are going to be implement discovery first time, for which is the new customer for us, right? So we first of all we are trying to understand the customer pain point, what customer pain point having, what he wants from our side to be implement, and what his end goal, right? It's just not like that we can simply implement the discovery and we don't know the end goal, and he's going to be implement service mapping and event management later. So we need to be understand those things. Then we need to be understand the how many locations they have it, how many data centers they have it, where the CI is available, different type of CI is available. Then we need to be understand the data model of their CMDB, what type of data model they are using, how they are managing their attributes, which attribute they required most, okay, that without those particular attributes that CMDB cannot run. Let me give an example here. So when I'm talking about CMDB, So CMDB having lots of attribute, like if I'm talking about specific one server, CMDB having RAM, memory, CPU, the OS version. These are the some attribute which is config related attribute which is coming from the discovery, or customer can manage manually if they have less CIs available. But apart from that, there are some functional attribute which is required by the customer, like assigned to, operated by, or managed by, and the status of the CI. That is the functional attribute. Based on that, he can analyze the all information is available. If I go to any server or any CI, I can look into it and easily able to find out these attribute is available, and if any issue is there, the particular team is supporting them, right? So those particular things we should, trying to collect from the customers, trying to, put in the data model of the CMDB, or our requirement gathering document. So we are going to be document each and everything, each input which is receiving from the customer. Now we have all the information available at our side. Based on that, we can find out now we have to start with the discovery. So while we are talking about start with the discovery, first thing comes in the mind, discovery plugin. So how we can enable the discovery plugin? Discovery plugin can be enabled by plugins which is available on the ServiceNow for sub prod instances. But if we are talking about on the prod instance, that can be enabled by a ServiceNow account manager, basically, because that is a subscriptions based plugin where some subscriptions cost be involved for the licenses of the discovery. So that most of the time involved, enabled by ServiceNow account manager. Or you can also raise a high ticket going to the high portal or the support portal of the ServiceNow. You can select which plugin you need to be enabled, or you can select the timings to enable that particular plugin on the portal. So this is the way. Once you are enabling that ServiceNow discovery plugin, which is com.snc.discovery, the two plugins will be automatically enabling. The one more plugin is the cloud governance plugin. Second is ITOM licensing. Again, cloud governing plugin is more about related to cloud discovery, as well as where you are going to be use your cloud provisioning and governance using that particular plugin. ITOM licenses, again, how they are, calculating how many licenses is going to be used by that particular organizations. In different organizations, it depends based on the cost can be decided by for the per license by the service now. But the license will be most of the time calculated based on the hardware CIs. So if most of the time in my organization, I'm just giving an example here. In my organizations, we have 10,000 hardware CIs, but on that 10,000 hardware CIs, the 25,000 virtual machine running. So for that virtual machine running, which is running on the virtual machines, which is running on that hardwares, that cost will not involve for the license. So it will involve for the hardware components through the discovery is discovered, and it's populating in the item license table, basically. Then what is the next thing? Now we have plugin activate or plugin available on ServiceNow instance. Now how we can proceed further to start that particular thing? So that next thing is mid server. Mid server, we will discuss, in the next slides a little bit deeper what is mid server, how that is going to be connect, and all those things. The third thing is port to be open on the network firewall. So port is something, destination port, which is on that particular port, the service is running for that particular type of device or the CI. So that should be open, that should be communicating from your mid server to that, so we can collect the informations from them and pull populate to ServiceNow. The next is credentials. Credentials is something like, you are outside, you are not on your home, but someone wants to access your home, right? So you are always giving the spare key to them to be access it. The same thing. So the device is connected to the network, but we want to be access it. Admin have the access to access it, but I don't have. So I need a spare key, spare credentials to log in to access the information there. but it doesn't mean that complete access given to me. So it depends on requirements on particular type of devices, what type of access we required. So as I given an example of, you are not on home, but you have a spare key, but you have a spare key of the main door, not the complete rooms available in your in house. So you will be able to access, you are able to see the informations whatever access provided by that admin team for those particular credentials. So let me move to the next slide now.
So Ajay, when you say credential, is the same credential that we use in to log in into the service now? It's some different credential, like to log in into the customer infra environment.
So credential is something, username and the password. This is the same, but the terminology we are using, it should be
Mm-hmm.
different for the each type of classes basically. So it's just normal username and password, but what type of access we required? Because in ServiceNow we are using or accessing most of the time local credentials, as well as in the customer environment we are using the credentials is passing from Azure portal or their AD or LDAP, right? We are integrating with them.
So when you say the local means like a normal username password, and when you say the Azure means it's going to SSO domains, right?
Exactly, right. So
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
here we now it depends what type of device. Let me give an example here. Customer have
Mhm.
two Windows server. One is connected to their domain. So here we
Okay.
require domain credentials. We can say SSO credentials example, but one laptop is not connected to domain. So obviously that how we are logging to our laptop, we are logging user local user, right? Our laptop is not personal laptop is not connected to domain, right? So we are creating a local user there and putting a password, right? The same way, customer or admin team need to be create a local user which is not connected to domain and share it the
Okay.
credentials with us to be access that particular type of device.
Okay. Got it. Got it. And Carlos will come back to your question in a some time. I already noted down these questions and we'll discuss it again. Okay, Ajay, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Let me move to the next slide. So, before we begin the discovery, there are four things which we have to be taken care. First thing is, we have to be understand which person is going to be run the discovery, and he has the instance access. It can be admin. Sometimes customer is not providing the complete admin access to you, so discovery admin should be there. So the role discovery admin should be available to that particular persons who are going to be perform the discovery on it. Second thing is mid server again, as I mentioned. So mid server should be available, mid server credentials should be available with you to access it, to install a mid application on it, to connect with your ServiceNow instance. Third thing, credentials again, which related to mid server, as well as that which related to your target devices which you want to be discovered. Fourth thing, where which IPs we need to be discovered, right? The IP ranges, or what is the baseline which we want to be discovered. So when we are going to discuss with the customers, how many devices you have, what type of devices you have. So customer will give a baseline ki these are 10,000 devices retail, where 2,000 belongs to Linux, 2,000 belongs to Windows, or 2,000 belongs to network, which is switch routers, and 2,000 belongs to load balancers. So we required those IPs, as well as if possible to create discovery schedules. So we definitely required the IP ranges. So if we have IP ranges, example, 1.0.0.1/24. So if /24 is there, means 256 IPs containing in that particular range. In that 256, 254 IP will be usable by the customer. 2 IP are reserved for some other things. So in those 254 IPs, if new addition will be happening by the customer or new provisioning will be happening by the customer, it automatically will be discovered if our discovery prerequisites will met by the customer already while he is going to be configure that particular device. So that must be required to be ongoing discovery on their environment. but basically we do, or we are not taking care on those things. We just configure the discovery, but we are not able to think on that way कि, what is happening after 6 months when customer have lots of device available. So how that this auto discovery will be running on those device again. Customer need to put some support resource to be discover those device manually. That should not be. We should always try to include the IP ranges which is going to be used by the customers, and based on that the automatic discovery should automatically run if new device or new IP will be added by the customer on those ranges basically.
So it means IP is the food for the discovery. If there's a no IP, it will not work.
Right. Without IP,
Okay.
discovery will not work.
Oh,
IP must be required. Now, one more point which I want to be at. There are couple of other type of devices, like let me give an example. Nutanix. So Nutanix is one type of devices where you don't need the IP of, or you don't need the IP ranges. You need the Nutanix Prism IP only, and it will be using the serverless patterns to discover it. So once you put the host or the Prism IP, it automatically detect what type or which what is the count of device which is connected to that Prism, and it's automatically discovering and populated to the Nutanix related CMDB classes. Yeah. So let me move to the next slide now.
sure. Ajay, let's take one question from Carlos here. He says, when we talk about the devices, many devices we need to be connected to the server, right?
Mhm.
So he says in the data source, when we update anything in the form, we need pay attention about how the platform automatically generate the connection URL. Sorry, Carlos, it's a question or it's your thought process or your learning in this particular part. I would improve the URL generation of Oracle database. I guess it's his learning he's sharing with us. Okay, you can go ahead, Ajay. Sorry, I missed. I read it as a missed things. Go ahead,
Not
please.
So as I mentioned, now we have Discovery plugin activated, everything is there. The next requirement we require to be set up a mid server. So
Okay,
mid server, what type of mid server we required? Customer is mid what now let me give an example. What is mid server? Mid server is nothing, it's just a middle to connect your service now, or middleware to connect your service now to your target devices which you want to be discovered. If I give an example, I need to reach out to Carlos, but I don't have that Carlos contact number directly, or Carlos don't want to talk to me directly. I need to reach out to Atul, and Atul will help me out to way to connect with me Carlos, because Carlos is not connecting me with me directly, right? So that's why if Carlos is exposing or discussing me directly, might be I can use their numbers in different way, or I can share that numbers to other customers or other clients or other friends, right? So it will be
okay,
misuse of it. The same way, we are not going to be exposed the customer IPs. Customer IPs is limited to mid server, and mid server passing that information to ServiceNow. Here, on the mid server side, we can install mid server on different type of OS. It can be hardware machine or it can be a virtual machine. So, like we can install on Windows Server 2012, Linux Red Hat 6 plus version, Ubuntu
right.
4 plus, and the CentOS 6 plus version. So these are the some specific versions on which mid application will be running only. What is required to be installed on it? The PowerShell should be there 3.0, and the .NET framework should be there. So this is for specifically for Windows Server. Linux servers, we don't need those. But why we use Windows Server most of the time instead of Linux? Because Windows Server is able to connect to each type of devices. Windows Server can discover or can connect to Windows, Linux, network, any type of devices. But if you are using Linux type of devices, Linux, Ubuntu, or CentOS, that is not able to connect to Windows type of devices because they are configured in that way, or the protocol which is using there, that is something related to those things only. So we cannot achieve the discovery of Windows machines using Linux servers, and Linux servers mostly, using Linux server is something, the GUI something different. It's not easy to handle it or not easy to configure it. So we are mostly preferring to install a Windows mid application on the Windows machine only. That can be hardware or that can be virtual. Now, what is the configuration we require to install a mid application on a Windows server? So the configuration of that Windows server should be 40 GB hard disk, that is approx 40 GB, which is mentioned by ServiceNow. But we
Mm-hmm.
most of the time asking customer to let's give 100 GB if we want to store some logs of the mid servers as well, to be future reference if we want to see how mid server is connecting, what logs is he is throwing, is any issue while he's connecting to the ServiceNow instance, or it's targeting to the target device. So we can see those details in the logs. Then 8 GB memory something RAM, multi-core or multi-CPU, which should be four CPUs, 64-bit systems, and again memory can be 4 GB to 16 GB, but 8 GBs are standard, which is provided by ServiceNow. On that, we should configure the JVM should be running at least with 4 GB of memory. JVM is Java variable meantime, so it should be running on those at least with the 4 GB space, so that because it's again mid server is Java applications which is connected to get the data from the devices. Now we need to be ensure our mid server should be connected or accessible by ServiceNow. So when we are installing a mid server, we are providing our ServiceNow instance.
Mm-hmm.
So ServiceNow instance can be prod URL or the dev URL or the test URL of the ServiceNow instance, or it can be anything, right? And then we are providing a credentials to connect with the ServiceNow instance. So that credentials we are providing, that credentials should have mid underscore server role, and that should be active in ServiceNow instance. Now the question is, customer is not going to be allowed to create a local user. So we definitely asked customer to provide a AD user to us, and that password should be never expiry for that particular AD user, and we can add a mid underscore server role to that user, so we can use that one. And while we are processing further to install mid servers, we can use proxy as well if customer using the proxy to reach out
Mm-hmm.
HTTPS. If customer not using proxy, we can directly connect and we can set up the mid server. Next thing is, how many mid servers we required to how many mid servers we required for each type of instances. Let's take an example. I am working on the dev. I need to be run a discovery of 10,000 devices. I'm okay, I can use one mid server. That will be suffice. But if it is going to be more than 10,000 of CIs, then definitely we
Mm-hmm.
need to think the two mid servers should be there, or based on the data center locations, mid servers should be there. If we have some restrictions that a data centers is not able to connect be data centers, applications, or the Windows server or the mid server. So we should install a mid server or mid applications on Windows servers on each data centers, so we are able to connect with those devices and able to fetch the informations. If it is possible, then we can go with the one mid server only based on the conditions or the requirement gathering things from the customer side. The same way it can be applied on the test as well. But while we are working on the prod, always giving customer options to create a two mid server for each locations, depending on the load, depending on the CI count, and those mid servers should be running as a load balancer or failover conditions. We can create a mid-server cluster there, which help out to customer to configure if a mid-server is going to be down due to any XYZ reasons. So our discovery should not be impacted, and discovery will going to be update as usual, which is running based on the discovery schedules. So as I mentioned in my diagram, that is my ServiceNow cloud. Mid-server is again a middleware. As I given an already example, and these are my locations and availabilities, right? So that mid-server is going to be connect with these devices only. Those can be in the both way. Here, ServiceNow mid-server is going to be connect with the ServiceNow. So those informations which is available here in our data centers or our locations is not going to be exposed directly on ServiceNow cloud. So that is all about the mid servers, but we have to be taken care while we are installing the mid server.
Okay. So as you said that it depends on the data center and location as well. I guess the same question has been asked by Tamal as well. How many mid server are for how many data centers are needed as best practice? So it's already answered, Tamal. One more thing which Abira asked, and I guess you already answered, which type of devices require the IP address when performing the discovery? So mainly you say that kind of a discovery, sorry, windows are required, but one is called Twitcho, right? If I'm not wrong.
Sorry, come again.
It's a Twitcho or what type of device which don't require the IPs for the discovery?
So for discovery, if we want to run, IP should be required, IP
Okay.
mandatory. It
Okay.
whatever the type of device it is, that should be required. But as I mentioned, some of the devices which is running on the serverless function, like
Mhm.
Nutanix. So
Yeah, Nutanix, right. Okay.
on the Nutanix as well, IP required, but IP subnet or IP range is not required, right?
Okay.
Because we are like, let's take an example here. I just want to access Atul home, and Atul home is single door for to access their all rooms, right? So if
Right.
if I have Atul home's main door access, I can access all the informations which is available in Atul home, right? So that is
Okay.
the main thing. But in the different way, if I say Atul gives me access to the main door, but Atul not gives the access to that rooms which is available in Atul homes. So definitely we required access on those things, right? So we required IP address of those rooms as well. So if we are going to be club those things, we are saying IP ranges basically.
Okay. Okay. And I guess Sundar, your question has been already answered by Ajay now that as you say, IP is a key for discovery. Hope it's scanned via subnet range. A device has MAC IP, DHCP, and static IP for the server. We face issue where there are often IP without CI assets as well. So how to handle these kind of things where orphan IPs are there?
So again, service now is now much capable to discover based on the IPv4 only. It's not,
Okay.
using IPv6, because IPv6 is something MAC address which we are using for the discovery, right? But if a system has MAC address, definitely it's have, IP address. Second thing, when I'm talking about discovery, it's not about to discover your laptop or your computer which is connected or which is provided by your organizations and which is connected your home internet, because definitely when you're connecting your laptop to home device, that IP something different. When you're connecting to your laptop to an office, the IP should be different. So those particular things, couple of third party things are agents available like SCCM. SCCM is something which is mostly going to be used by every organizations to capture the informations for laptop desktop related things. Intune or iTune might be. So that is going to be captured related to Apple devices or Apple phones, which is provided by organizations, because we need to install agent on it. And ServiceNow already introduced ACC, Agent Client Collector now. So now that has the capability as well. But due to the cost reduction, because if a organization have 10,000 laptops, and if we are using Discovery to discover it, first of all, static IPs are not there, right? So, and there are a couple of solutions available like help desk we can use, or SCCM we can use, or we can use ACC. But if we are using ServiceNow Discovery specifically, the license cost will be increased, because infra you have 10,000 only, but laptop desktop you have 10,000. So license cost will be increased lots of much. So that's why only Organization are not going to be discover laptop, desktop by ServiceNow Discovery or ACC. They are most of time using the SCCM or third party, solutions, and that can be
Okay.
integrated with ServiceNow to upload the CMDB.
Okay, so maybe I can. What I understood is that for the cost saving purpose, we are using SCCM in the middle to get only for the laptop and desktop, but for the other other infrastructures, we are still preferring the service now directly connect with the customer
Ex-
network, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, okay, yep, sure. Please proceed.
Yeah, thank you. So as already covered that particular slide, so you can see the three instances: dev, test, and prod. What is mid server? Mid server is Java applications which is running on Windows service on Unix daemon. A mid server should be hosted on Windows to discover Windows as well as Unix and Linux type of devices. If it is not, you cannot do that. Jobs is to be execute props pattern and return result back to the instance for processing. So once we are running discovery, service now mid server is firing some props which we called output queues. So output queues will be fired by ServiceNow mid server to collect information from destination devices. The data coming to us or mid server to back, it is coming the input prop. So this is something in different way. Input prop here as for output prop, and output prop here is input prop for destination. But ServiceNow called output is something which we are triggering from ServiceNow as a output to destination devices, and input which is coming, that is output for us. So in input prop or input queue, we can identify, we can see the informations of logical things, how that is running, how what ports or what informations is there. We are able to see those particular things, right? Now set the supported application in ServiceNow to discovery. So supported applications, as discovery supported applications, but if we want to using some connectors, something which can be which can help out to populate ServiceNow CMDB, we can also do that. And mid server cannot be shared between the instances. So that is the best practices which I'm just trying to mention. The one mid server which you are using on the prod, that should not be used by any other instance or test or dev. We have to be make sure each three mid servers are using by three different instances. Sometimes what we do, that same mid server can be installed on the dev, same mid server can be connected to the prod, right? That is not the best practices. Basically, we should take care of those, that particular thing. And redundancy is needed in production environment. So redundancy means we have to be configure at least two mid servers or more than two mid servers to be take care of the load balancing as well as the failover conditions if one mid server is going to be down, so our discovery or our things will not be impacted. This is not mid server cannot is for especially using for the discovery. Mid server also going to be used for integrations as well. Mid server also going to be used for some of that service graph connectors to be as well. Mid
So,
server also
so
going to,
it means the same mid server we can use for the multiple purpose. It's not
no.
only just for the one, or one mid server only for the discovery, one mid server only for the
Yeah,
integration.
right. So one mid server should be for discovery, one mid server should be for
Okay.
integration. If we use the same mid server for the both things, might be integrations load is high and my mid server is not running. As well as we
Okay.
have the capabilities available in the mid server to add it specifically. That mid server is designed or dedicated to discovery. So if the discovery capability we added, and if we are
Mhm.
using that same mid server for integrations or LDAP, that should not work.
Okay.
We have to
Okay.
be clear on those things.
Got it.
Again, as I mentioned, 4 GB JVM memory should be required. Tuning of the threads should be set to 125. So the threads which is coming from destination server devices to the service now, that will be taken care by mid servers easily. And clustering performance, those the basics things which we have to be take care while we are working for any implementations for discovery related to service now.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me move to the next slide now. Again, this is mid server architecture or communication architecture, basically how mid servers is running. So Number one, instructions are placed on the ECC queue as a output jobs, as I mentioned already. So, when anything will be triggered by ServiceNow, this is ServiceNow basically. So let me give an example here. Uh, you know, uh, I'm going on road and I just want to access something, right? So, I just want to access something. So to access that particular things, the command which I'm giving, let me give a, like, I ask petrol pump guy to fill petrol in my car, right? I'm giving a output to them, right? Once the output reach out to him, he will understand that when he as is asking to fill petrol in his
Better,
car,
right?
right? So he will pulling that knob from the petrol and he's filling my car in the petrol, right? So then he is going to be, he's responding on those things, right? That responding to my thing we called input queue in our side, but actually that is output. If in normal terms I see, if you're responding to me, that is output for me, but in
Right.
service terminology we call input. We put output, as I put output to petrol pump guy to fill the petrol, but you know uh, uh, he mentioned to be fill, or he's filling the petrol, that is input. So he's giving the output to us, right? But it's input queue. So service now giving some instructions to mid server. Okay, let's start discovery of that particular that particular CI. He will be triggering the props to them. So he will be that will be triggered as a output queue from mid servers to the target devices. Then mid server polls ECC queue, find works, and it gather information whatever requested. So whatever the information asked by the mid servers in the prop, that particular prop, he will try to find out those informations.
Right.
And once the information is collect, mid server report the same response as an input record to the ECC queue. So in input record, he will passing the same informations to ServiceNow instance, and where we can see it, that is the informations or that is the output we are getting. Once that information received to the ECC queue of the mid server, that will be processed by mid server, and then our IRE rules or the information will what is captured, it's processed and populated in the ServiceNow CMDB.
So it means what information we are giving, he's accepting is as the input, but for service now it is the output.
Output.
And when we say the pattern means the commands which we are giving, okay, please fill 500 rupees petrol or the 300 rupees petrol, or fill this or this oil like petrol or diesel in my car at this particular place. These are called the patterns.
Definitely, definitely right.
Okay. Okay, got it.
So, just one thing to add here, if you see, sometimes, based on that same example, we ask to fill the petrol to petrol guy, but payment needs to be done on the different guy, right? So the different guy is a firewall in that one. If different guy is not allowing me that I have received the payment till the time the petrol pump guy is not going to be fill the petrol in my car. So next thing is related to that only, that how firewalls are interrupting to not sending or not allowing to collect the data from the destination devices to service now. So let me move to the next
Okay.
thing. So yeah, see. So what I just added the basic type of devices basically. What type of devices, which type of devices mostly used by the service now or mostly used by the customers. There are couple of or lots of type devices available by the customers, but these are the basics which is available on each customers, and these are the basics things that have lots of CIs available in the customer environment. Right. So as I given already example, if I just want to be reach out to Carlos, but Atul is a middleware which is not going to be allow me. So Atul is a firewall for me. If I'm not able to break or I'm not able to approve, the approval is not given by Atul to us, we are not able to reach. on that destination device. The same thing, as you guys know, we have ITOM help desk group where we are
Right.
getting a request, right? But till the time the admin is not approving that request to add in that particular group, you are not able to add in, right? So that is something firewall where we have to be give approvals to process that particular type of request from source to destination. Now here, if I a little bit talk about discovery mid servers, again, as we install a mid server, discovery mid server have something, some IP is there, right? Some name is there, some configuration is there. So I'm using IP. So IP should be connect to ServiceNow destination instance on port 443. So if I'm trying to, because again, this discovery mid server installed in the customer premises only, so if I need to be out to cloud, some wall should be there, firewall should be there, right? So if till the time that firewall is not going to be allow me, I cannot reach out to ServiceNow instance. And who can
Right.
allow that firewall to us? That network admin team of the customer. So we need to reach out. We need to be give the informations like this is my source, this is my destination, on that particular port or protocol I want to be connect to ServiceNow instance, this is a URL. Then he is going to be modify the access control list of that particular firewall. This we are approving, this is the request we received, and now it's approved. Once it is approved, then you can reach out to your destination URL basically.
Okay.
Next
So,
is
so, so it means if an customer want to set up the discovery, they need to be get the approval from the IT team as well. Sorry, IT security team as well, not the
IT
IT.
security, definitely. So
Okay.
if we talk about the stakeholders, the all infra team should be there because they are going to be involved for the troubleshootings or all the requests, whatever we required for the credentials.
Hmm.
IT
Okay.
security team should be there. Again, IT governance team should be there, and who are managing. Apart from that, we require that consent from all things that we are designing, that we are trying to pull that access we required it, because IT security team will definitely check what type of access I'm asking. If I'm asking a admin access on a Linux machine or Linux box, I can do anything.
Right.
I can crash that application which is running on it. Right. So they are
Hmm.
not giving that admin access, but we are asking for some special access on particular commands only to be captured.
Got it. Got your
Right.
point.
Right. Specifically, that's why if we mentioned the port, those particular ports we required to run the discovery. If complete access given to me, I can do anything. Anyone can do anything, or might be I am not doing forcefully, but by mistake I did it. If I by
Right.
mistake did it, definitely that will loss for the customer. The application will be down. The business will be impact that side.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
Ajay, just to update, we just have a 5 more minutes in the bucket, and then we'll pick up the question answer as well.
Definitely. So let me cover that in that 5 minute.
Yes.
So discovery mid servers, again, the source, the destination, all type of IPs which is available in the customer environment, and these are the specific port which we required for the Windows servers. So if these ports are not open, Windows Server Discovery will not allow to discover it. Then
Right.
for SSH, we required specifically port 22. My bad, port 22, right? That should be the port specifically, that is port 22 be enabled by the network team on those IPs, and my mid server IP should be added in access control list. Means from this IP, means Atul given a key to Ajay only, but if Ajay given that key to Carlos or Shivam, it doesn't mean that Carlos and Shivam can also access it. It only Ajay can access it, the room or house of Atul. Atul given permissions to Ajay only. The same way we are giving special treatment or special additions to that particular IP, which is going to be used to enter in the network firewall and then pass it to destination type of devices. So we have special IPs which need to be added in access control list, and then the special port only. So like Atul given how a key of their room main gate only, but Atul give the access of their guest room, not the complete home. So
Home, right?
I can access a guest room only of the Atul house, not the complete home. The same way, here in the network 161.22. So Atul already given guest room access to me, but using 161, he's also giving me access to their study room, not the complete room or complete house again, right? The
Hmm.
same, different ports for different type of devices, like network type we have using 161.22. Again here on sorry, 161 it's a UDP port which is going to be accessed or which needs to be added in the ACLs by the network team. Then we are able to do that, right? Storage we have 5989 5988 427. So there are specific protocols are going to be maintained, TCP and UDP. So that mostly network team understand, but in layman term, if I say the based on that, can be accessed, or those particular things can be accessed specifically. Some things running on the TCP, some things running on the UDP, to collect the data from destination devices, which is configured in ServiceNow. And this is the best practices or out of the box things available by the infra team as well to collect the information.
True. Okay.
ServiceNow is not customizing that informations which is worldwide available, right? So we knows everyone knows Windows or running on one port 137s and Linux running on port 22. So ServiceNow is not customizing, but sometimes customer due to security reasons find out I don't want to be modify. I don't want to run my services on port 22 because security which will happen more of time. So he configured the port
Yes.
633 example. So we can also, ask customer if any customization done on the port side, we can include in the ServiceNow instance in port and prob. We can add that particular port, which conditions or which protocol that is going to be used, which type of devices that is going to be used, and based on that we can configure and the data will be collected. Again, we have to be open the firewall port for specific 633.
Okay.
That is the thing.
Got it. Got it, Ajay. So let me see any question here. Okay, Tamal put a question here. Do we need custom patterns for database discovery? ServiceNow can discover the database instances, but not the database inside those instances. Is that right?
No. So, terminology which is used by the service now, that is something different, right? So, for database discovery, we don't need anything. First of all, ServiceNow going to be discover the database, then
Mhm.
database instances are there, and if anything connected to the database instances, that is also there. But there are a couple of database out of the box pattern available, like SQL, Oracle, MySQL. But if something which is not there in the pattern or the out of the box pattern is not available, then definitely we need to be create a custom pattern. In my previously in last project which I'm working on it, there one type of database, I'm forgetting the name as of now, but out of the box pattern is not available. So we customize that complete pattern. But I think creating a custom pattern is not too much but I'm not getting the word, but it's
Okay.
not that much easy. But we need to be understand how we have to be configure what informations customer is asking to get that informations. So Tamal, basically all things out of the box that is capturing. If you are saying the database is discovering, but the instance and other things is not discovering, you have to look into it, your pattern. You have to be check where that pattern is going to be failed at. And if you want to connect with me, I can help out on those things as well.
Okay. Good, Ajay. Again, a lot of technical things in my mind now. I need to be digest over the weekend of this one. Anybody else? Any other question? Because we just have a few more, not few, just few more minutes only. Any other question you want to be asked here? So when you say maybe it's like a heads up or the spoiler for the next as well. When you say prob, what do you mean by the word prob here? Because I heard a lot of time this word from your discussion today.
Prob is something notification. Let me give an example.
Okay.
I need to be notify Atul. Hi Atul. That's it.
Okay.
So prop is something notifications which is triggered by mid server to destination server to collect the information. Okay, he's notifying. I am reaching out to you to get that information. That is
And
the
is
prop.
it work? Is it work vice versa as well? Like you said, destination and go to source as well.
No. So destination is passing the informations in the queues, not as a prop.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
we
Okay.
reached out. The means the informations. I like you put your hi now. It's
Mm-hmm.
passing as a prop in ECC queue to destinations. Ki that information I want, and what information I asking you responded yes Ajay. So that is
Okay.
passing to me. That is basically.
Okay.
So
Good. Got it. Got
layman term, if I say, in the props we just mentioned, ki log into the server or use that credentials and run that command to get that informations, and then that informations can be captured. Once those informations done, notifications received, that informations is captured, then ECCQ triggered to the mid server, ki that information is collected.
Okay. And Carlos, thank you so much for clarification that Ajay, if you remember that we put a question in the group as well that what improvement you want. So Carlos says I would improve the URL generation for the Oracle JDBC databases. So this is what he put for the ServiceNow perspective. Good to know. Definitely, when a lot of brains work together, we improve, we collaborate, and we move forward as well. Okay, so Ajay, we're already over the time now. So let's take 10-second, 20-second pause here. Thanks to the God, pray to the God, and then we'll formally close the session as well. And I have some announcement for the next session as well, guys. Okay, so the main announcement for the next week is that next week's session will be not on Saturday. This will be on Sunday, that is 31st of March. The reason being because I got a request from Ajay as well as two or three more members that on 30th of March they are planning to attend the Delhi developer meetup. So they don't want to because meetups are mainly for 3 to 4 hours, starting from the 9 o'clock till 1 o'clock, and our session at 1 o'clock. So it's very hectic for everybody to be get free from there. So next session is not on Saturday. Just to be repeat, it will be on next Sunday, 31st of March. Timings definitely is going to be changed because for me daylight saving is getting over, so it will be 12 o'clock, not 1 o'clock as well. For me it's still 7:30, but for everybody joining from the different regions, please check at least in Europe and UK daylight saving is getting over on this coming weekend, that is 29th of March. So session will be 1 hour earlier, at least for me, or not for me, at least for the people from the joining from India. So take care of that point. Definitely, the flyer will be out very soon on this particular part. And see you again in the next session.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ajay, once again for giving me opportunity, chance to share your knowledge with everybody. And thank you so much, everybody who joined from the different part of world and encouraging me and Ajay and getting knowledge from Ajay's brain as much as we can get it. Uh,
Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys, to be connecting with us and supporting to us to be share our knowledge on the ITOM side. This is something going to be interesting day by day, and we have lots of things to be shared
Right.
here. Thank you,
And maybe
guys.
one thing which you missed out that we already started our ServiceNow item group as well, WhatsApp group as well. So if you wish, you can join there and you can put your queries and you can answer the queries as well on that particular part. Okay. So we'll not take much time now. Thank you so much, everybody, once again, and see you again in the next week. Take care and bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.